It's February 28th, 2022, on Eyewitness News at 12. I reference, at the beginning of the segment, it said something about, and this is New York State, FCC, whatever they do with our broadcasting system. It mentions something about Batman. Now, in the big wide world of things that I've tripped over or into by accident all by myself, there was a reference to something special in the senior varsity section referred to Batman. I'm in a fallout shelter in the Empire State or Gotham, I don't know what you want to call it, but my last name is Cattaruzza. So it's almost Cat of Russia, but it's also, I mean, like if you do Catwoman, Batman, whatever, Little Green Men. That was during Toy Story. DreamWorks brought that one out. This feels like a fever dream, personally, and not in a good way. So anyway, so they have a reference. It looks like Batman, because they have some new franchise portion coming out. It looks like Batman is in London for, I don't know what they planned it for. I'm sure the Underground knows, or the OG or the UG knows. I am just a C without her G. It mentions for climate change, more importantly, it'll cameo to the Batman view, and then it goes to the weatherman, who says that the camera in New York shakes when it looks for the weather. They report it in a lot. Now, I can't tell at times if it's wind coming in, like gusts from I don't know where, and I don't know what's being carried in on those gusts of air, or if it's seismic ground vibration coming up, or if it's a combination of some kind of weather cycle that I don't have. And it's a rhetoric question at the moment, since it's just me and the glass. And it looks like, what does my eye color look like? I can't even tell at the moment. Yeah, I got a nondescript eye color at the moment. So here, this is what it says.
Now this is how you promote a movie. A man dressed as Batman propped himself on top of a tourist attraction in London. The Dark Knight held onto a safety frame on top of the observation cabin called the London Eye. It was all to draw attention to a release of the latest Batman movie starring Robert Pattinson. That hits theaters on Friday.
You know, Sam, I could see you in a tight suit and a cape and standing at the edge.
Oh, like, oh my God, why so much Tropicana in my New York? Oh my God.
Just because I'm a little chubby and everything looks tight on me, Sandra, does not mean that I would stand on top of a moving whatever that is. No.
Oh, I wouldn't describe it.
Awkward.
Good afternoon, everybody. Here's what's going on outside. You've got a little bounce of the camera, and this drives me crazy sometimes about that automatic reporting station in Central Park. Look at that.
Automatic reporting station in New York. Camera is bouncing. He uses the word bouncing.
That saying the winds are calm. Not yet, they're not, and they're still gusty anywhere from 12 to 15 miles per hour, but the park often reports those winds a little bit more calm than the rest of the area. Temperature.
So the humans use this wind theory, W-I-N-D, for gusts, G-U-S-T-S, in, like, if they're in aviation, they tend to know more and background story because there's some form of training. At a woman who fell out of another woman at some point, they call it birth, in a naivety, which is a nativity. That's like that Island Island. Like Island Island. Kiev. Nativity. Naivety. Whatever.
Right around 21 to 29 degrees. That wind chill is down to about 21 degrees right now. There it finally goes, the computer. 29, 31 towards City Field. Woodhaven, Mill Basin's right around 32 degrees. It looks like Staten Island's coming in at 34 right now. And we've got still some 20s out there. So the chill is real. The wind chill doesn't help it out there. Make sure you're bundled up if you're stepping out. Even just go.
Now, this is how they represent the United Nations on the television. Only time I ever hear it referenced is at some climate change. But now, what's confusing is they always represent it with either people talking in some fashion about I don't know what, because you can't hear them directly. It's like a picture without the sound, to who knows what they're doing. And then it's tapered off into photos of polar bears and fires and things that make it look like the climate that I'm talking about. But what gathers inside of those meetings are meeting on land that has strict profile hierarchy. And I'm not quite sure where I'm standing in a fallout shelter why nobody has reminded people in the local New York area that it's okay to say, I don't know why they're here and who do we ask for help. Not necessarily people in the building. It's what accumulates on the streets outside. And I'm not talking about my long-lost relatives that are holding up blue and gold signs at the moment, or blue and yellow, that matches the headdress of super serious event that went on. But it paints where the mindset's coming from.
A report from the United Nations found the dangers from climate change are rising at such an alarming rate that could soon overwhelm our ability to fight it. The report, the work of 270 researchers from 67 countries, and it paints a dire picture of our ongoing environmental crisis. The report details multiple threats, such as extreme weather, drought, and fire that have already disrupted life and ecosystems.
These things have been figuratively researched, acknowledged, written about, spoken about for decades. Yet there's still no fix. Why is that? The light right now is so high. When I go out, I should be wearing sunglasses, but they've disappeared and I don't have money for contacts. So then, now what do? I wear my glasses and I try not to go outside as much.
The report calls for drastic
And the
changes in
moon
the next
is missing.
decade to prevent irreversible
However
damage.
that
That will
happened.
require the world to cut emissions by 45% by 2030 and achieve net zero emissions of greenhouse gases by 2050. But according to current commitments, global emissions are set to increase almost 14% over the current decade.
But despite dire warnings from the world scientific community, the Supreme Court is hearing a case that could challenge the U.S. government's ability to fight climate crisis. Should the Supreme Court side...
Supreme Court, is that the same one in the same land area that works under divine comedy, whatever, but the land mass still has states surrounding it in Stati Uniti and les États-Unis in United States of 48. That's last time I counted. Intercontinental was 48. So being that the Divine Comedy is in something they call District of Columbia, I don't know why they would take an outside state. I don't know who lives there. It's not like they're ever featured on the local televised whatever. So now, there is a rock wall. There's rock and paper. It has a very specifico look. I don't know why there's so much confusion after this UN message, but now I got US with some employment managers that are at high level positions that then force issues that make the North American neat and tidy policy hard to enforce. That's a problem with other operations. Franchises mixed in there somehow. These mini economies, they're running themselves like mini governments or mini concession stands, I'm not quite sure. But the land maintenance issue in North America seems to be going in the wrong direction and unacknowledged for the safety of some of us.
With coal companies sued, the decision could undercut the EPA's ability to combat the threat to our climate and planet.
Former Governor Cuomo's team has launched a new
Now,
ad
this is
in what is
interesting.
believed to be an attempt to clear his name.
The case against Andrew Cuomo appears to be crumbling.
The prosecutor says, unfortunately, the filings in this matter are potentially defective.
The New York State Attorney General may have turned a blind eye to crucial details.
According to the prosecutor, there was exculpatory evidence.
I don't know this exculpatory. It sounds like sculpture. This is confusing.
The 30-second ad claims Andrew Cuomo has been exonerated from charges that he sexually harassed multiple women. Cuomo resigned last summer after a report from Attorney General Letitia James. 9 women's rights organizations have blasted the ad, called on Cuomo to take...
And I don't understand how Letitia James is in a attorney general position in the state of New York under the rock and paper's priority. How is that level able to operate? I don't care what franchise, basketball, LeBron James. It's very confusing to get the players to. It's not like an on the basketball court game. You put the jersey on, you dunk in the hoops. You know which hoops are yours, you go. When you get out in Humanville and they take off the brand name and the expectation of the spectators, sometimes the high performance players are not playing in the manner for which they are expected. Now, how does one take care of those levels of insolent problems? Because they're in silent areas and positions, and they're hard to protect yourself when they have these whatever.
take responsibility and accused him of spreading misinformation.
Coming up on Eyewitness News, a big announcement from legendary singer Neil Diamond, what he is giving up.
Now here's a story. I know there was like an angry racial slur amongst my own people about how do you get a guinea. It had something to do with an Italian and an Irish person. Don't know what that means in really disgusting after effects, considering I'm not, those are just the two flags that were on the field when I got here.
All right, thank you very much, Sam. To the rescue in Westchester County. Coming up on Eyewitness News, how firefighters saved a family's guinea pig who disappeared into a drainage pipe. Also ahead, the search for the gunman who shot and killed a man in front of a liquor store in East Harlem.
Every morning you wake up to new information.
Oh, here's the story. Is that a cherry blossom or a dogwood? I'm not quite sure.
The weekend to perform an unusual rescue. Authorities say a guinea pig named Teddy was outside playing with his family in his new neighborhood when he just vanished from sight. Well, it turns out that Teddy had crawled into a drainage pipe. Firefighters responded and they tried to get him out, but it took a bit of creativity. They had to use some leftover lettuce to lure him close enough to them to pull him out of that pipe. Fortunately, Teddy wasn't hurt.
And look where Teddy goes for comfort. Just hide me.
Well, the SEC is investigating Tesla's.
This is interesting. AT&T is putting up this new radio thing I've never heard of before. The first time I'm hearing about it is it's already being
AT&T
installed.
has begun testing and deploying 5G radios on city street lampposts. And the company says it's a way of boosting 5G experience in dense urban environments, but it has not said in what cities the testing's taking place. AT&T says since the new radios are powered by street lamps and connected to nearby fiber, it could reduce the need to install more standalone small cell towers.
Still ahead.
Is that really the purpose, or are those like mini X-ray machines? Just curious because the radiation level around here is getting awfully high. Now this is interesting. They're talking about an area in Ukraine. Now, there's Ukrainians here in New York. I don't know how they behave because, again, I don't have access to them. However, they're saying what doesn't belong in Ukraine is saying that they're treating them like trash. But here's the thing, why are you there? Why is that even a conversation being brought up on the news about how the treatment of you are? Why are you in that situation when you don't belong in Ukraine? I mean, I feel the same way about some of the people in New York. I don't know why they arrived. I don't know how they arrived. I don't know why they're reprioritizing, was what it feels like. And the rest of us are just left, like, wondering, like, what are we supposed to be doing?
These men telling ABC they believe they've been discriminated against because of their race, waiting their turn since Friday. So far, no luck.
They treat us at times like trash. You understand? And they look at you with your color, they judge you.
Now,
Yeah. Where did you come from? Where are your papers? What's your business here? What are you doing? That's how it usually goes. What I don't understand is in the West, where I am, how it became so lackadaisical and so... I mean, where's aviation at border in the movie The Terminal, for reference, in a year 2004? Just curious. We still have rock and paper. Rock's still secure. Paper got federal whatever note on it. U.S. Treasury knows it exists. Where did we lose the managers we needed in order to keep one line of reality between headlines, deadlines, and bottom line? Star 1978, Star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. Its Earth, Solar System, Milky Way, Universe, Galaxy is broken. It's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.